just because they don't want to get dirty. So you had a question. I think this is the last question I'm taking. I'm giving Stephen.
Oh, okay. Prof, my problem is the gap between, like, from the foundation phase. If you go to university, I went to college, whatever. But it gap is huge. And even though it reaches where you are, you even see people who are studying something that is not even making sense. But what I see is a gap from the foundation space. Even the manner in which a white teacher is teaching to the child is different from a black teacher towards my child. Yes. And what are our professors, black professors, are they doing about that? Recently I was hearing one of the DUT professors complaining about the late results, metric results, the impact that it had with registration of the universities. I heard some of the universities were supposed to be starting on the 6th, but the result came on the 20th. There's no communication downwards from the bottom up to where you are, and if there isn't any, what are you doing about it?
Okay. So with that, there are a few things, and I think that you are quite correct that there is serious inequality between the relationship between schools and universities. It's a serious issue, and I can maybe talk from where I'm at. You know, all your kind of so there's also a big difference between your private schools, which will write, what is it now, IEB, and to write IEB costs money, right? So you know the school, etc., pays more money to have that as their thing, which obviously affects which schools then are able to do that, which talks to the income bracket of the people who go there, and what you will find is that even worse, like when you look at your cousins and whatnot, that's even worse now. Oh, now you have a direct relationship between the school and the university, whereby you don't even submit your whatever, the thing. It goes straight from the school to the university. It's a smooth process, right? So there's even more inequality there, right? But I think that on your general point around the gap, that's very, very true, and it's a serious one. And in fact, it even goes way back to your, there's now foundation phase, intermediate phase, high school phase, university. And there's a gap between all of them, I think. When you get to university, it gets a bit worse, right? Because it isn't only about somebody's, my view from my kind of experience is that I would say about 99% of people who are accepted at university belong there. As in, like, they are all able to do the work. There's no doubt about it. Give or take, some might take, a week longer, or a month, or 4 months, but they're all the same. The difference is the socio-economic background that people come from, and that as the reason why they take longer to apply themselves, vis-a-vis them being able to do the work, right? And what we found, for example, is that in many places that I have, like UCT, right? It's in the suburbs, right? Because the majority of the staff members live around the area that is quite wealthy. It means that many of the kids who are wealthy live in the area, and therefore you can go to, going to school from home is easy. It's 5 minutes. In the real world, a black kid who gets to university has to take 4 taxis. Has to wake up at 4 in the morning, queue up, all these things. We schedule tests at 5 o'clock in the 5 p.m. How on earth is a child who has to take 5 taxis to make a test at 5 o'clock and be okay about thinking about going home and all these things? And so I think that, yes, there is that gap in terms of foundation phase, intermediary, and that's what on. But I think that far more serious for me is the socio-economic gap that has to do with how our towns and cities are organized and how that impacts on the ability of most people. What we're doing about it, I mean, all I know is that people talk a lot, right? And we talk about it a lot. And then people protest about it. And they protest some more. And then, you get tired and we're back to square one 2 years later. And this is the unfortunate thing for me, is that, when it comes to problem solving in anything, right? I found that despite the fact that we are all able to identify these things and to know what the problem is, there's been very, very little serious movement in trying to resolve this issue. The short answer to your question is that there's very little being done about it. And at the same time, I'm not sure whether universities or the scope or room for universities to change it is enough. So you can have, very, very good professors who can give lots of support for people, in whichever way that they can, by being patient and all these things and giving ample resources. But there is something about the post-apartheid spatial landscape that is still racist. Where yes, you can try and throw a lot of problems, but it's like throwing something into a black hole. Because at the end of the day, people who are wealthy live near where there are, access to all these things, and people who are not, don't. And that for me, if I were to say, well then where's the one place that you can try to make a dent in it, it'll be that. And that's beyond the university. I mean, yeah. I hate to end on a bad note, though. I didn't mean to.
You paint a very grim picture. From a UNISA side, Prof?